Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, and good wherever you are. JP here at Websites for Beginners and our very first speed build for 2023. I'm going to be using BrizzyCloud, and the reason for that is it is super easy, so easy to set up and then to start building out. But this can also be used within the Brizzy page builder for WordPress. We're going to be building out a hair and beauty salon landing page. This is a speed build, which means we are just focusing on the build itself. I hope that you know what padding, margins, and all that stuff is, because we're not covering any of that in the speed build. So we're using BrizzyCloud, images from Envato Elements Market. You can check out the link in the description below for that. Great place to go and to shop around for great graphics, templates, etc. Let's get into the speed build. Rock and roll time. Right, in BrizzyCloud, the first thing I will do is, because it's the first time I'm going to be creating a speed build, is I will create a new workspace. Oops, speed build. This is really great about the Pro version, is to have these workspaces in which you can group your projects, which are basically your websites. This will be the first one, so I create new project, website, and we're going to call this, I'll call this SB01 for speed build number 1. And this is hair and beauty salon. There we go. And all I need to do is click on edit project, and zippity-doo-dah and zippity-doo-yay, we go into Brizzy. Let's begin building, create our own. And I think before I start doing this, let me quickly change out the creatives. Let me just grab that. Right, these are the fonts we're going to use. I'll set that up soon, but let's do the colors first. I'll go to my global styling. I'll start here on the left. I'll go through this, make sure this one is pure black. And then this one on the right should be white already. You know that triple F, that is the code for white. I'll set this up very soon, which is the typography. I'll do that once I bring in any text element onto the page. Begin by bringing in a background. Grab my hero image, focal selector on our eyes to make sure that stays in the image at all times. And then we bring in our elements. I'll have an above title. I'll have my heading, a spacer below that. And then actually I'm going to have a sub tagline there and then a button below the spacer. I'll start with the heading, select it. I can just put it on white first and then type in center align. And then we go and change the font. Now you can see there's a lot of fonts that come in. Change the fonts. I clean this up. The first thing we're going to do is add Dancing Script as a font. Dancing Script, right? Continue with that. And then the big font we're going to use as our base font is going to be Comforta. It should be already here at the bottom. I'll go back to add new font, go to my fonts, and then I'll select Comforta. The reason I select it here is this is going to make sure that when I delete all of these other fonts, that any font settings I have already on the page will default to Comforta. I just don't need to delete Dancing Script, but the rest I can go ahead and delete. Only I have these two left and I can clear it. Gives me a nice little interface. But what is important, if you were using any of these styles, you will now see that because you set it as the base font, you don't need to go and change them out. All of them will be set to Comforta. Let's go to Dracos Salon. Now this should be Comforta already, which is great. 80, put it on light, and then bring down the line height to 1. Go over here, make it all caps. Is that light? Go to the top. This one I will put on black and put it in the middle. This is going to be Dancing Script. 35. Dancing Script actually has a few weights. So for this one, put it on bold. Just bring down that line height a little bit. Over here, we can add some lorem ipsum text if we want to. I'm going to work with the placeholder text, and I'll just center align it. I would like this to be a little bit more constrained, break into 2 lines. Many ways you can do it. We go to the box over here for the block, and with the width, I'm going to put that at 70%, and that will constrain my canvas. Let's change this to 50 pixels. It's at 50 pixels. Good. And then the button, find out more, remove the icon. And I actually like the button as is. I'll just put the corners on round. Because I changed all the colors here at the beginning. This is the pink. Here is the button. I don't need to make changes to that. And that is really, really cool. Go to the top. I'll drag in more. I cannot see it over that green. Let's just go and see how it looks. I'll put it around 135. Let's just go and look at this one here. Still have to click on Comforta because I brought that in from the beginning. Comforta at 16, I will reduce the line height to 1.6, and we're also going to use light here. Looks better. For the overlap, I'm going to create another block, and then I will bring in a row element. Many cases, I usually just go for columns when I'm structuring. Here, I didn't even use anything. My intention here is to move this entire group and overlap to the top, and the row element is perfect for that. Create another column. I'll bring in an image, text, and in general, I find icons from any. Oh, I already have a text. I'll have two text. In general, I find icons from any builder very limiting. So I usually bring in my own icons. There is a link in the description below. You can go visit the Noun project. Over 5 million icons. And many of them, if you're just playing around with them, all of them, if you're just playing around, are for free. If you're going to use them on commercial projects, sign up for a very small price every year. Go check them out. Link in the description below. I'll bring in this one first. And we call this one hair. Right, and then we make this title hair. And let's just remove a little bit of this placeholder text for us. And let's start here at the top. I'm putting it on original, makes it easy for me to work with. And then I'll reduce the size to 35%. Just remember that because it's in percentage, if you change and add padding, reduce the size of these containers, the image will also shrink. I know that's going to happen, but I'm okay with that. This one we put on dancing script, 32 and bold. And then I will put my line height on 1 and center a line. For our text, let's just make sure Comforta 16. And I need to correct myself. I'll just lower this on 1.6. Well, I see that we still need to come in here and make sure that we click on these. Otherwise, it's still not locked in. We may have removed that base font, but it hasn't made those changes yet. So come into your headings and just click on Comforta. At least you don't have to search around for them at this point. Make sure that they're all in, even here for the button. Okay, good. Now let's go back here, center a line. We've created this box. Go to the settings. And I'll do 25 at the top, 25 pixels, 35, 25, and 35. Go ahead and duplicate twice and delete these two. Right click, delete. Go to the row, settings, styling, and then I'll de-link all of the sides. And for the left and right, I'll just put it on 10%. But I believe this is a little snag. The 10% doesn't work. So you're going to put it on. Look what happens when I put it on 9%. It jumps, right? For some reason, the 9% and the 11% works perfectly, but it doesn't want to do 10%. Change out these guys. And I think that is too much text there for the description. And this one is makeup. And this one will be nails manicure, right? Let's just remove it. I don't like 4 lines of text for something like this info box. Select a row. And now we make it overlap. Go to styling, decouple the margins. We move the top margin to the left. It's only going to go to -100. Type in -250. And then I will go Where am I now? Yes, I'm at the top. So I'm at the top block. I just drag in a little bit more space. And let's go back to our row, give it a background, put it on white, go to the settings, and I'll also give it corners of 15 pixels. We can hop back to the colors, select shadow. I'm going to make this one -20. And then the next box, we increase it again. Yes, by making this first box minus and then increasing it, you push it out again. It's a little bit of back and forth, back and forth. And after I've done all of that, I grab my slider and I bring it way down. Change the background of this block, and we're actually going to use this one, I believe. That's right. Next block, create your own, bring in an image. And this will be this one about background. What we're going to do is try and make this background seamlessly blend in with that background. And the way we do it is we add a gradient and we use the same color as the top for both. So I'll select this peachy color, third from the right. Wait, let me put this one first on the color I can see. And then we change the angle. I'll put it on 0. Let me see if 0 works. So it's the opposite of 0, 180 degrees. Now I have these two colors matching, this one at the top, and then this one starts here. So it's going to blend. You're not going to see that line. You can even grab the slider, drag it a little bit further away. What I then do for the one we put on black, we're going to put it on the same color, but we reduce the opacity almost to 1. Almost to 0. And the reason I say almost to 0, for some reason in Brizy, the moment you put it on 0, it becomes a solid color. Let me show you. Unless they fix it overnight, not solid, it becomes again opaque and it changes to none. That's not what we want to do. So put it back and we change our colors out again. And this one, you see 3%. Great. And now we have created between two blocks this gradient overlap. Bring in columns. I'll put this column around 60, 66%. And if you don't get there, you're just going to go ahead and type it in. Start working with this one. Bring in a background image. My brushes. Just drag this one to the right. Make sure it's always in there. And because this is a background image, there's no settings apart from custom and original, but it's not going to make a difference as to how big that image is going to display. That is up to you. We're not set anything here because this column on the right is going to contain most of the information. So we can set that up with the column. Let's go and do the column on the right. That will be easier for us to imagine. Select the background. We bring in a heading. We'll bring in text. A spacer below that. And then below that, a call to action button. Select the first one. Dancing script, and we put it on a nice one like 38. I'll leave it on normal, but I'll reduce the height. 38. Reduce the height to 1.4 like that. And let's just change this color. Currently it's on this one. I want it on the pink. It at least stands out a little bit. For the paragraph, let's go ahead and bring in some lorem ipsum. Let's not be lazy because I'll need a little bit more text than that placeholder. I'll generate a few more, and then let's grab this size. And I'll paste it in my browser and then copy it again. And the reason for that is to remove all formatting. Paste it, Control-Command-V, put it on white, and we create a second paragraph. And to give it a nice paragraph, I'll select all of it, go to the settings, and the gap below, I'll put on 16. Let's just see what our settings are for this one. At 16, normal. I'll just reduce the line height to 1.8, and then that's groovy. Our pixels here, I'm going to reduce this to around 35. 37, that was close, right? I wish there was a heads-up display. And for the button, I brought this button in, but I realized I'm going to just use this button. I'll duplicate it, click, hold, and drag on the bottom, and then use the page down or arrow keys on my keyboard to bring it down. This button, we go ahead and delete it, and nothing we have to do then except here align it to the left as we are flushing all of this to the left. Column, and we put up our padding. For this one, I will link all the sides and use around 55 pixels. Squash them in nicely. Groovy. And because we have these rounded corners, to have consistency across the site and the page, we have to bring in the rounded corners. This is just one column. So in this case, we're going to delink the corners and only use the top right, 15 pixels, and then the bottom right, 15 pixels. And then we do that the same for this column. Let's go and do that before we forget, because forgetting is part of the game. Styling, delink them, and we do the opposite. Top left, 15 pixels, and bottom left, 15 pixels. If you want more consistency, you can also add the same shadow here, like we did at the top. I'll skip that one. On this side, we're bringing in a little bit of a heading, one below that, and below that, I'm adding a spacer. Let's change all of this, call it Inner Beauty. Put it on something nice and dark. I'll put it on this black. And let's change what we have here, 30. Let's double that. So let's make it 32 instead, and I'll put it on bold and reduce the line height to 1. I always like my headings at a line height of 1. It just makes it easier for me to manage it. And the letter spacing, I'm going to increase quite significantly, around 6. Oh, let's make it even 6.5. Nice. Below that, par excellence. And this one, let's put it on white. What do we have here? I'm going to put it on a big size like 60. Ooh, 601, 300. Ooh, 60. There we go. Leave it on normal. And we can also reduce the line height. I'll bring that down. Now, if you think it doesn't have enough contrast, you can actually go ahead and add a shadow by going to the colors, shadow, and add a shadow to the white. We'll see, and it will come through. And I'll just reduce that so it's not that in your face. From here, let's also quickly work first with the settings. I'll drop this all the way to the bottom. And then styling, same thing for the padding. We keep it at 55 pixels for all of the corners. And then here, do I want the spacer? No, I don't need the spacer. Why did I put in the spacer? Let's delete it. We want them all aligned here at the bottom. Let's see how it looks here at the top. I think we can reduce this a little bit to bring these two closer to each other. A more better flow. On to the next section. Create your own. And here I will create the standard heading for the section. And whenever I do that, I bring in a row. Reason for that is because I'm going to use this heading many times again on the page. I can just copy the row and drag all those elements together. I'll delete one column, right click and delete. And remember, you always need one column within a row. I'll bring in the heading and then another text element below that and a spacer below that. This will be our heading. More ideas to explore. And I'll leave this lorem ipsum for us. We're going to put this one on the middle. Dancing script. 48 pixels on bold. And because my heading, I prefer to have at 1, I'll reduce the line height to 1. And we change the color to this pink over here. This text, we just slightly reduce it. And on normal, that's fine. And the line height 1.7, put it in the middle. Previously up here, we had taken the whole block and we put it on 70% to bring the text and give us 2 lines. But now I'm going to work with content which I to keep on my regular canvas size. And that's the great thing about the row. If you go to the row settings, you will see I also have a width constraint over here. And I'm going to do the same. This one I'll put on 60%. And now I've reduced it. I've added basically padding here on the left and the right. But it's very easy, manageable, especially when you go to tablet and mobile. Then you can just play around again with this width and make it fit. The spacer I have here is at 50 pixels. I'll leave it at 50 pixels. And now I've basically created a nice heading for my section, which I can just copy every time when I create a new one. Below this, we bring in columns. Now just note where I'm going to drag it, not there. You have to drag it where you see the long line to make sure it's outside of the row. Oh, I brought in another row. Let me delete that. I want to bring in columns. That's how I did it. A row is not bad. Nothing wrong with the row. Leave it on 50 pixels. I'll start here on this side first. And we're going to work with background images here. Okay, I'll grab an image. I'll go with this one first. put the focal selector on her face to make sure that is always in focus. Go over to the left, and we are going to create columns within columns here for this effect. I'll bring in another column, and then I'll bring in another one below that. And you will see these are pink. So we have these two adjacent to each other, and then these two beneath that also adjacent. But I only need one, so I'll go ahead and right-click and delete. Select the column, make sure you select the pink, and then we bring in the images. Same for this one, pink one again. Just also have to make sure my focal selector is done properly in case, just in cases. No, not plus, here, image. And here you go. And make sure her face is also always the center of what we want to achieve. To get the height I want, I'll go ahead and put these columns on custom height. So I'll go to the column and then from height, select custom. And this one I'm going to put on 250 pixels. It comes in and it says 400, don't believe it. And nothing is changing here. The moment you put content in there, you will see it jump around. Let me do that first. Otherwise, it means nothing, right? Bring in two text, and the moment I put it in there, you see it jumps to 250 pixels. And I'll select this one first. Call it skincare. Put it on white. Typography 36, and I will leave the rest. And this one, let's say learn more. Also put it on white. And I'll make this 16 and just reduce the line height to 1. Actually, this one, I'm going to put it on dancing script and reduce the line height also to 1. Now that we've done that, let's go ahead and put all of this content in the bottom. Select styling, and we make it 35, 25 at the top and bottom, 35 on the side, and 35. Nicely spaced. To work with these guys, we do the same. But instead of building out all this content again, I'm duplicating the content. Now I have two of the skincare. Select and drag it in, and we do the same for learn more. And then same procedure here. Go to the settings, put it at the bottom. And for the height, we're also going to put it on custom and put this on 150 pixels. Make this one a little bit smaller, control it. We go to styling and we do the same for the padding. 25 at the top, 35 on the side, and then 25 at the bottom. So this is going to take up a little bit more space, but it stays consistent with that. Basically what we can do here, which I should have done, just duplicate that one, delete here. Now we have all these settings and just switch out the image. Much better. And who was this? And then the same over here, same settings. So I'll copy this, drag that onto that one, copy it. And what's going to happen is that this column is always going to take the side of the height of these two. So at 250 pixels, at 150 pixels, that's going to give us 400 pixels. It will stay, as long as it is adjacent to these two, it will stay the same. We do the same. Go to the column, settings, put it at the bottom, and then for the styling, same padding, 25, 35, 25, and 35. We have a white space here, and the reason we have the white space is because of the padding applied to these columns. Go to the column, and if you cannot get to that little blue dot, all you do is you select anything on the inner content, like this pink one, and you press escape on your keyboard, and that will jump up one level in the container, which is the blue column. Go to the padding, and here you have to remove all the padding because those pink ones are giving us the padding containers. Consistency is very important. Around the corners, we go to the column on the right, and then we decouple, and for the top right, 15 pixels, and the bottom right, 15 pixels. This column here, remember, this is now the pink one. Now that I've removed the padding of this blue column, I cannot even see the pink one for this one. So click on skincare and then click on escape to go to pink. You will see pink is highlighted. Go to the settings, styling, decouple, top left and 15 pixels. Remember that little trick, escape to go up. And for this one, we can select the pink one, no problem. And this will be the bottom left, 15 pixels. One more thing. We're not going to add a link here, but now what we want to do is have these columns linked to other pages or maybe to products. And to achieve that, we can go to the column and then add the link over here in the link to open in new tab, or if you want to not, you don't do it. But to indicate that something is a link, I like to on a desktop show that it is a link. We can add a hover effect. Go to the color and then you select here for the hover state. And all I'm going to do is apply a darker color like this black, and I'll reduce it to around 20%. Now we have this really nice. And you have to do it with the other guys too. So we go to the color, overlay, hover, dark, and bring it down to 20%. Same for this one. Hover, 20%. One thing I think we should do the moment I get out of this little trip is to quickly save. And the trip here is these hover applications. Let's have a look. Well, what? Why not? Why I didn't have a hover for this one? I'm pretty sure I put a hover there. Oh, I've applied the hover to this, which is not what I want. I've selected the blue column. I have to select the pink one. So click on skincare, hit escape, and let's apply that hover. There we go. I should have seen that actually. There we go. Nicely done. Remember to save. It's currently in draft mode. You can publish it if you want to. We're just going to go ahead and save the draft. Add a new block, create your own, and bring in column and add another column. Go to the block settings, and width, we're going to put it on full. First column, let's bring in the background image, and we'll work with that so that we can have text over that. The background image where we have here, you can choose any of these. Start with this one. Apply an overlay. Go for this pink, and I'll put it at 80% or 85. I think that's always a good range if you're trying to achieve contrast as well. Go to the settings, and I'll give this a height of 500 pixels. So type in there 500. It doesn't go to 500 yet because we haven't brought in any content yet. The moment I bring in the content, you will see it jump to 500 pixels. One text, see, there it jumps. Another text, then a spacer, and then a call to action. Call to action, I'm going to borrow from here. Click, duplicate, click, hold and drag. Use the arrow keys on your keyboard to move the page down and drop it here, and we'll change that color out soon. It's type in here something special for you. Put it on white. Center align. And then we set this up to dancing script. 42 pixels and bold, and reduce the line height to 1. For our paragraph, we put it on white. And 16 normal, let's reduce it to 1.8. Actually, that 1.8, because I keep going to 1.8, we should just do that over here under paragraph and put that on 1.8 so that every time you bring it in, it is at 1.8 and it's consistent across your site. We have our little separator here, which is the spacer. I want to drag that down to around 30 pixels, just give it a little bit more space. Type in 30. And then we change out the colors because here we need some contrast. So we're just going to go for the opposite text. And center align. Also center align this one. Go to columns. We bring in padding so we can have a little bit of separation and structure. And here on the left, it's currently set to 15 pixels. I'll go and put it on 15%. That makes it much easier. Gives us a nice little box structure. And from our column settings, let's center align everything. This is a little bit bland. I think we need to change the color here. So for this text in the middle, I'll put that on our black. That looks a little bit better. Not that important that you have to read that so carefully. Once we've styled this out, we go ahead and duplicate this 2 times, then we delete. And this one on the right, we're just going to change third option available. And this one will change the color completely. I'll put it on this one next to that. And there's a border here, which I don't want. Go to the border, select none. And for the hover, we can leave it like that. I've put it on green, but I realized the original demo actually was this color. So let's stick to the original demo. We put it on light. Ooh. And then select this and put it on pink. And then actually the button, we should switch around back to pink. We can even put it on green, just to give it a little bit more of variety and contrast. I feel that's a little bit too smarty box for me, but let's go with that just for something different. And this will be the second option, delivery. I have no idea what these words mean I'm typing, just to give you context. Change out the images. Oh, that's color. Same for this one. And if you cannot get to that little options blue icon in the top right corner, remember the trick. Click anywhere in the middle, select escape, and it will jump up and we change out the image. You could also add a hover effect to this. So I'll click on the column, I'll click on hover and then drag it all the way up to make it solid. So we have this effect. But you have a call to action button there. So this is not necessary because people will click on the button. But if you want that little bit of effect there, more than welcome to do that. Follow me for more advice. And scroll that up. Okay, silly early in the morning. Check the time there, 5:36 a.m. And I've been awake for some time. Great. And that's it. We're done here. Before we move on to the next one, whenever you do a full width like that, remember there is actually still padding applied at the top and the bottom. If that's what you want, no problem. But in most cases, you're going to have no padding. And I will remove that padding over here. The reason is that the block padding on page doesn't remove all of it. I think it leaves like 15 pixels still there. And we want all of that padding gone. Here though, I removed it, but let's bring a little back of the space here so we have some more separation. Next, we bring in a new block and we're going to create a parallax effect in the back. Bring in my image. Yeah, over here, muted. Oh yes, I used 2 colors here. That's why this one is muted. To achieve that effect that I'm looking for, go to the settings of the image in the background and next to parallax, we click here on fixed. And now we have a fixed parallax effect. Take the focal selector, you can put it on her face, but it's not really relevant because it is now a fixed image. But as we bring in more content, at least we will be able to see her face. Add elements, I'll bring in columns so that we can have this column here to give us that space. And this one I'll just drag a little bit, give us a bigger column. And let's put it on around 55%. And I always believe there is some internet guru that at 55.1% is going to punish me for that 0.1%. So let's be specific and put it on 55%. This will be a little bit of a testimonial section. Bring in a heading for us over here, spacer below that, and then columns and a line. Actually, I wonder if these columns, should I not make that a row? Let's delete these columns and you will see why I want to make it a row, because I want to duplicate them. Bring in a row. Let's do that. And you can do that. You can bring in a row, but it will give you the pink columns. You're not going to cheat it by getting another column within a column. What people say, what our customers say. And I'll apply the same settings like I did up here. I wonder if we can right-click copy, right-click here, paste styles. Nah, not going to work yet. So what people say, let's change it out. And the first thing, it's already, no, we have to put it on dancing script. And the same settings, 42, bold, and then down to 1. What I would have done is to just copy this one, drag it in here, and then you didn't need to do all of that again. This is on 50 pixels. I'm going to leave that. And then this one, I'll take all the way to 20%. Let's type it in. Bring in an image. And our testimonial person, customer 1. Okay, you are customer 1. And I'll put it on original because I brought it in at 1:1 ratio. I want it like that. So using original will give me that aspect ratio. Select mask, go to circle, put it on fit to make sure it fits nicely. And then over here, bring in a text element. We leave everything. I'll just put quotation marks at the beginning and at the end and put it on italics. That usually shows that it is some kind of testimonial. And that's how we've created the testimonial. Let's change this one's color. Let's make this green, make it a little bit different. Now that we have that, I'm going to duplicate the whole row. Then I'll drag the row below the line. And then here, I'll go to the pink column and just select move right. We've created a nice little difference. And I'll change out this image to who can this be? This lady over here, customer number 3. And because we've set up everything nicely there, I don't have to do it again. And there we go. You can play around with the line. The line also has many other options that you can try out. I think the default works for me here. Add space at the top. So currently it is at 75. I'm going to bring in a lot of space to around 160. Give me 160. I can just feel the vein in my head going to pop. If you need it, like I said before, 160, just go type it in there. Otherwise, don't cry over that 3 pixels. And then at the bottom, I also add a lot. This one I'm going to make also around 160. That gave me 160. Now it wants to work. Nice. Great. Remember to save, Control S, Command S. Team time, our team. Bring in a new block. I'll add a background. I'll put it on this green. Let's say the light one first. And then for the section heading, I'll go up here where I've created this row. Click on the row, duplicate, and then grab the row and move down with your arrow keys and drop it here. We need to just change out the color, contrast, and then select, type in our team. And you put in your placeholder text, what you need there. That's lovely. Next, I'll bring in columns below that. We have 2, I want 4. Go to the first column, we style out 1, and then we'll copy it, and I'll put it on a background, white background. To give it separation, I'll add margins first, so styling, and then we go to margins. And for the margins, I'll keep it linked and put it on 15 pixels across, and that will push it in like so. Bring in content, 1 text element, 2 text element, below that icon, and then a spacer, and then we bring in another image. Ooh, is that right? Yep, there we go. Start at the top, the name of the person, Mary Contrary, and then her title, shower person. Ooh, tread lightly, JP. And this is a button, not what I wanted. I wanted an icon. Icon. There we go. Let's style out again from the top first. I'll start with, make it 18, Comforta. Put it on bold. And reduce line height to 1. And make it uppercase and center align. We can change the color to that dark green that I have at the beginning. That looks, you barely can see it, but I think it just adds more. And then her title, also going to put that on all caps. But for the title, we're going to reduce it to 16, which already is. And then put that on light. And the line height, I'll also bring down to 1. Center align the same. And there's still too much space. So it doesn't matter. I'll click on the top one. And what I'll do here is I'll just grab my margin at the bottom and reduce it until I find it is at an area. So maybe 0 is perfect. Let me put it on 0 and see. Okay, 0 works. Is this 18? It feels so small. Yeah, it's 18. Click on the icon. We bring in some social media. Let's give her first a Twitter account. No, Instagram. Because you're taking photos of your clients, you want Instagram. And then for the size, I'm using 28 pixels. Take it nice down. Then go ahead and duplicate it 2 times. Next one, click on the second icon. And I'll make this one Facebook. Do I want this or this? Let's use this one. And then for the last one, this one will make Chirper, Twitter. Add a little bit of spacing between them. So where spacing is currently at 10, let's put it on 15, separate them more. For our spacer here, let's reduce that again to around 30 pixels. Now, I just cannot get that one. And then bring in the image of the team. Yo, team! Go team! Oh, I just dislike this word team so much. It's used to ensure conformity. Go to custom and put it on original. We do the same. Go to the mask and then put it on circle and put it on fit. Make sure it's nice. And now for the size of this one, I think we're going to go to this size and reduce it to 75%. Nice. It's still too big, but you will see when we add the padding now to this column, it will also shrink this image because it's done so in relation to percentage. Let's go to the column. I can show you what I mean. Go to the settings of the column. Make sure everything is set to the middle, just for good measure, not really important. And then you go to styling. At the top, we're going to add 65 pixels. Ooh, that's 35. Force of habit. 65, and on the sides, 35. 65 and 35. And you see the image shrinks as we do that. That works. We've created a nice card here for our team. I'll save, Control Command S. Go ahead and duplicate this one 3 times, but we'll only be able to duplicate it twice because Brizy only allows 6 columns. So we go ahead, right click and delete these guys and bring in one more. Again, with consistency, if you wanted to, let's go to the column. I didn't do it in the demo, but we can add again 15 pixels all around. If you want that consistent, I think it actually looks pretty good. These styling options can be copied. Go to the column, right click, select copy, go to the next column, right click, paste styles, and you will see it gives us, so you don't have to go in and do that for all of them. Very nice. And then we change out the names here. I'll probably just go ahead and change out the images for us first. All right. And of course, if you are so inclined, you can add a little bit of animation, which many people love. You can go to the settings, effects, and you have your animation here over fade. I do find that when you have these cards, reduce your delay significantly. Otherwise, it takes too long to come in and people will probably move on. We have created a very nice 4-column team member section. Next, bring in and create a new one. And I'll bring in a gallery element. Remember, this is a pro feature. If you are using the free version, you have to build this out yourself. What I do with the gallery element is I usually use these placeholders to get a design first before I bring in the images, because then I can just select where the image goes. Block first, and we make this full. I'll also go to our padding, bring that down to 0. Then with this selected, I want 3. I'll select 3 columns, duplicate, select any of the images, duplicate, go to the gallery settings up here. You see, there we go. And we put the columns on 3. Click on the last one, add another one. And now I will reduce this one. Then I will reduce this one to half of that. Reduce this one. Click on it, drag it. go. Let's do the same for this one again. Lovely. And now all I need to do is bring in my images. The lady in the water. And I think I did use different images here. Select them. Let's just make sure this is on her face. She looks a little bit squashed, but she's happy. Squashed and happy. This guy getting a beard trimmed. Make sure his face is in there. Go, Michael. And then last one. This lady looking not too happy. Put it on her face. We can make this bigger. I think they look very, very much squashed. So I'll just increase this. Let's give Michael a little bit more of, let's give her a little bit more of headroom. And then for her, go to the block settings. We give it a pink background. You see, we have these borders here in between. If we select the settings of the gallery element, you will see it's spacing of 5 pixels. That means we have to make sure that this top and bottom also gives us that 5 pixels. Let's see how we do that. If we go up all the way, there's a bottom. So we put that on 5 pixels. And then the top one we put on 5 pixels. But why there is more space at the top and the bottom if we give it this 5 pixels, why it doesn't look like that? And it's quite possible that if we go to the gallery element and we say settings, we're going to find that the margin has 10 and 10 at the bottom. That is standard in Brizy. Elements come in with these margin settings. So I'll link it, take it down to 0, and you will see they look good now. This Michael wants to take up another pixel or 2. And there I add the 15 pixels again. So I need to go and take that out. There is a super, okay, I'm not going to get that perfect, but that's fine by me. There is a super new version 2 gallery element, which I played with last year, that is coming. I mean, I played with it in September and I cannot wait for it to come. It gives you multiple images upload, so much control, nice layouts, grid settings. This is just going to blow this one into oblivion. Last is a very, very, very important contact section. Let's create our own. First, I will go up here to this one because I want, which one do I want? The dark one? Doesn't matter. I'll have to change it anyway. Select this row, duplicate it, and then we drag it down. This is our section header. Okay, we'll change it now. Let's do first the background here, and we bring in an image, the last one on the list. And we apply a background, again, very similar to what I did previously, a gradient. The one on the left is going to be this dark pink. And the one on the right is going to be the light pink. But then I'm going to go to the one on the right and even reduce it like this to around 20. And then the one on the left, the dark one, I'll grab the slider and drag it to the middle. So we have a harder transition here in the middle, but gives me a little bit more separation of this color so it can stand out better. I don't want another white on this kind of pastel background repeat. So let's go to this one and put it on the light pink. And then this pink, I'll put it on white. And then for our text over here, I'm going to put it on black. Right? These are changes. We make them as we look at it. Select the text, contact us. And now all we need to do is work on our contact section. I'll bring in a columns. This will put on a ratio of around 60 to 40. There we go. I got it there the first time. In the first column, we'll bring in a form element. And that's all that we're going to add, except we're going to add some text at the top. Send us a message. Let's see. There we go. And then on the right, we're more or less going to do exactly the same what we did over here. The same functions, the same settings, but it's going to be pretty difficult for me to copy all of that. So what I'll do is I'll just build it out again. We bring in text. Now the text, a spacer. And unfortunately, I need to bring in another icon, not button, icon. Let's change the background colors first. So we have more separation. And for this one, put it again on this color. Great. Looking really good, just like that. Let's also go and just set up everything else. I'll go to the settings, styling, padding, link them all and put them on 55 pixels. And then for the corners, we'll have to put the left on 15 pixels. And that's for the top and the bottom. Is that the left? Yes. Let's do the same for the right. 55 pixels all around. And then 15 pixels bottom right and bottom top. Top right. What am I talking? Bottom top. Select the text over here. Send a message. Dancing script. Put this on 36 and on bold. And I can just leave the rest. Select the first field and we'll keep it on email. The next one, select it and we change the field to name. So that will be text, type in their name. And then for the paragraph, we'll set in message. I like the rest of the layout. Can play around a little bit with the borders if you didn't want them all around. We go to colors, border, delink them over here. And then for the top is a 0. Right is a 0, bottom, and then left 0. I will select again on the colors. I think we need to change the fields. Go to the color where you see text. I'll select the black and I'll grab this opacity slider all the way to the top so we can see it better. Not bad. The button, let's switch that out. Type in send in caps. I'll give the button a width of around 40%. 40%, 50. And I'll align it to the right. And remember, we have to give it rounded corners because that's what we've been doing throughout this page. We need to keep it consistent. This paragraph, we want to make a heading, but it's the same as this one. So we duplicate this heading. I'll drag it in there. Just change the color. We put it on white. I can delete this paragraph. And we say something here like our address. And below this, I'll just put this on our bright pink. You can type in the address. Type that in. And then we have a spacer here. We leave it on 50 pixels. Now, what I want to do here is actually replicate. Did we have it anywhere else? I would have liked to just take these guys and replicate them. Unfortunately, once you remove one of them, it breaks the whole inline concept. So I have to redo everything here. This isn't a big deal because it's not related to the team members. It's actually related to the shop. Let's put it also back on, it was on 28 pixels. I like it a little bit smaller. Duplicate it a few times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Click back on this one. Sidebar opened. I don't know why. And we start with Facebook. And remember, as you click on this, you're going to add the link over there. Then for the next one, Messenger. And if you don't know how to add the Messenger link, there is a video here. Check it out on Websites for Beginners. How do you add the Messenger link so it can open automatically to the account you want the people to chat to? Then for our next one, we'll put this one on Instagram, which is pretty important for the picture. And for this one, we'll have WhatsApp. And WhatsApp, I will do a tutorial on that very soon, how you can set that up. And finally, again, related to images, Pinterest. Though I never use it. One of those platforms that I'm always like, what is Pinterest for? And then everyone, oh, don't you use Pinterest? Let's give it some spacing. I'll put it on 15 and we align all of these guys to the left. Below this, we add another block. And what we're going to do now is move all of this to overlap. Here is the problem, and I mentioned it to you at the very beginning. If you know you're going to overlap things, put them inside a row so that you can move the whole row. I didn't put these two inside a row. Not the end of the world. So what we'll do is we'll bring in a row element, put it just above this one. Where is it now? Okay, put it below if it doesn't want to go above. And then I'll grab this column and I'll drag it in there. And I'll grab this column and I'll drag it adjacent to it. And it looks really gnarly. Let's delete these two first on the right. That's left and this right. And then I'll just drag this again to 60%. And we shouldn't have a mess at all. There we go. Now I'll go to the row, select it, styling, and then delink the margins. This will be the bottom minus. So let's also put it on minus 250. And now we have it here at the bottom. We do the same like we did at the top. Select the color of the row, go to shadow. So we put 13 minus 20, put it on 40. There we go. That's too much. Let's take it down to like 28. That's much better. And even the minus 20 is too much. Let's make that minus 15. I see there's a white bar there. So what we need to do is go to the settings of the row, styling, and then padding, draw that to 0. Lovely. We've removed that. Everything is working perfectly. This is our quick build. There's a number of things that you need to do here. You need to add your links to wherever you have a call to action. You can add your animations like we did with these cards. Remember to add also their social media account numbers and set up the form integrations. More importantly than any of this is to go into tablet and mobile. I'll tackle the first one, but we're not going to go through all of them. I just want to show you how you do that within this builder. Select here on the left tablet and it takes us into tablet, and everything that can be changed will appear here. So no need to worry about selecting and making sure everything is perfect. Go to the settings of the block. Remember, we put it at 70%, and I will always increase this for tablet. I'll even put it on 90%. This I still want in one line. I'll reduce it to 64 pixels. We bring it in nicely. And the rest of this I think looks fine. I'll just add a little bit more space at the top and at the bottom. If you feel the image is a little bit off, you want more control over that, go to the block settings, select the image, and you see you still have the focal selector. You can still choose which parts remain in focus. Here I find the button is a little bit bigger. Any text changes you make to the button, I highly recommend you don't do it here. You go over to the styling, and then at the bottom you will find the button settings, and then you select tablet here. If you want to reduce the size, you do this so. If I want to add letter spacing, which I think is often good for a button, we do it down here. This is something that you have to remember. So if I don't want it on bold, I want it something like on light, and then let's make it 18. There you go. You can do that. I think that's a little bit big, but it's often better to do this on tablet and mobile devices to make sure it is bigger so that people can see it better and also click more easily on it with their thumb or finger. Then next, we go to mobile. Let's have a look here. This really looks horrendous. The first thing I'll do is go to the settings and make sure this is on 100%. That works. And you see, just by dragging that makes a huge difference. From here, let's start at the top and we just reduce the size. I'll bring this down to 24. This, I do think we should maybe leave this in 2 lines. Yeah, you can make it 1 line, but let's keep it 2 lines. I'll take it down to around 64. And then for the text, 16. I do not recommend you go lower than 16. That's already pushing it usually. And then we go to the top, add space there, add space here. Nice, let her just peek out there. Leave the rest to the imagination. And then there's a load of work that you will have to do. But like in cases like this, the majority of your work is going to be related to things like padding, where you just bring in more separation. And then what you also have to do is just reduce the size. And in these cases, let me just reduce it. You'll have to be creative. If I go here, I'll remove the corners at the top and at the bottom. No, I'll leave actually the corner at the top, and I'll add another one at the top, but at the bottom I'll reduce it. And then the margin at the bottom I'll put at 0. And then you do the same for this one. So you connect them again. Margin at the top is 0. And then Let me see, bottom corner, we have to put also on 15. Let's see if that works. Okay, there's a top corner we have to remove. Top corner here is 0. Nice. Okay, and padding. Padding is going to be the answer. If you think it looks bad, why is it so stretched out? And if you didn't see that, then you need to think of it. Look at that. Very easily done. You can, if you want to reduce this. Actually, I like it. And to bring in the image, you want things bigger. Remember, you go to your column, settings, you put your height on custom, and you can control that. Ooh, see? Much better. That's how quickly you can go ahead and make these changes.